Hi, so today we are talking about two different things. We are talking about what is a claim, and we're talking about how authors use devices to prove those claims. So what I want you to do is I want you to open your artwork analysis sample from yesterday and pull that out. And once you have it open, the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to review your global issues. So just look through all of them, read what you had in the 5 different categories, and then I want you to pick the one that you think is the best, like the one you can best explain, the one there's the most evidence for. Sometimes it's not always about what you like best, sometimes it's about what you can find evidence of the most, but you can also pick the one that you're the most passionate about or you find the most interesting. Or an IB, remember that it's rewarded if you are creative. So maybe the one that is the most interesting or the most different that you thought of. So you are going to take some time and star the one global issue that you are going to want to focus on. And you can go back and change it later, but for now I want you to just pick one. So pause the video and do that. So now that you have your one picked, you're going to set it aside and you're going to come back to it in a little bit. And I want you to look at the part 3 where it says claim. Now I want to talk you through claim a little bit. So what is a claim? A claim is what your teachers last year, especially if you were in honors, referred to as your thesis statement. And it's what the author is saying about that global issue. So your global issue is like the subject, and then you have a theme that's included. It should be a statement or a sentence about that one issue. So this is where we get to make the interpretations. This is where we get to say what Banksy is saying about that topic. So you're not just talking about racial clashes. You're explaining what Banksy is saying about racial clashes. You're not just saying, oh, there's a culture war. You're explaining what Banksy is getting at with that culture war. So as a sample for you guys, we are looking at the global issue of oppression of individual rights. That's the topic that I starred. And so now I need to come up with a claim. What is Banksy saying about oppression of individual rights, about that topic? And so the claim that we came up with was through napalm, Banksy is showing how corporations oppress those less fortunate. So here you're going to include the title of the work, you're going to include the author, and then you're going to include the theme about that topic, right? It should be related to the global issue, but it should be saying what your author is saying about that issue, just as this sample does. So make sure your claim does that, right? So you're going to include the title, the author, and what the author is saying about your claim. Fill that out in your part 3 section now. So now that you're done with your claim, we're going to move on to part 4, which is the application. For part 4, you are going to look at the devices that you had earlier, so what we did in part 1, and you are going to talk about how each device specifically aids that global issue and creates that claim that you have decided on. So when you're filling it out, your words in your selected device are going to be things like context, lines, color, composition. Now, I have expressions here too. Like you can decide like maybe there's something that wasn't on our list, but you know it's something that definitely is proving your claim. You can go outside the box, all right? You can create your own, you can make up your own thing. I mean, don't talk about aliens, but you can create it, all right? So don't feel stuck. I can't think of anything for these, but I really want to talk about X. So talk about X. That's your job. You get to do that. So as a sample here, well, I am looking at this work. One of the selected devices I would talk about is context, right? So with my claim that Banksy is showing how corporations oppress those who are less fortunate. Here we have these 2 symbols of corporate America, and we know that through context. We know who Mickey Mouse is as Disney. We know Ronald McDonald. We know that he is all about McDonald's, and so these large corporations. And we also know that the girl in the middle, through context, we know that she is not a symbol of a corporation, right? We know she's a real person. And we know that she has been taken, everything has been taken from her through this bomb, this napalm, and actually even without context, we know even her clothing is gone. So here we have these 2 great symbols of corporations who are fully clothed, and we have this girl in the middle who is less fortunate, who has nothing, not even clothing. So that would be how I would look at context. I go on and I talk about lines maybe next. And I'd say, oh, I look at the lines of their faces, specifically their mouths, right? They all appear to have 3 smiles on their faces, but Mickey and Ronald both have very clear lines, so you can see exactly what their mouths are doing. Whereas in the middle, we see Kim Bok, she has it's very blurred, so it's more of a grimace interpretation than an actual smile. And so even though they appear at first glance to all have smiles through the lines that are used, once you look closer, you realize that they're not, and that Banksy is saying that this person is not smiling. She is being taken advantage of by these corporations who have clear objectives. Another thing I could look at is color. So very definitely you have the 2 corporations in color, and then the girl is in black and white, the individual is in black and white. So you can see that your attention is drawn to the color, the gold actually, right? The money. And so the fact that she does not have any gold, she does not have any money, that is an important thing to notice when it comes to color. And then for the 4th box, I'd put in this idea of composition. And so here we have Mickey and Ronald, these corporations, and they are holding on to her arms. Notice it's not her hands, so it's not like a gentle hand holding, come with us, right? It's actually holding on to her arms. And note that she is not holding on back, so it's not mutual. She's not a part of that corporation. She is an individual who's being pulled by those corporations versus having them all go along together. So we can see from these 4 things, there's lots of other ideas, other things you could look at, but through these we can see this oppression of individual rights, specifically how corporations take on those who are less fortunate. So what we want you to do now is we want you to fill out the boxes in part 4 for your topic. You just heard how I would do it for my global issue and my claim. Now I want you to look at your global issue and your claim. And I want you to come up with ideas, what devices, and how are those devices getting to that global issue. So you're going to explain it. Make sure you explain enough that we can understand your ideas and where you're going. You don't need to write novels for it. Note that there's smaller boxes, so we don't expect a big essay, right? We just want you to give some ideas. Bullet points are fine as long as you are clear and clean. Like how much, I know that's a big thing. Everybody wants to know, like, how much should I write? What should it look like? Here's an example of mine here. And so if you did this, if it were clear enough, then that would be plenty. So don't stress, right? We just want to make sure your ideas are clear to us. So we want you to complete that part 4 now and just pause the video, and then when you're done, come back for the last section. So now the last part, the so what. Why does it matter? What's the purpose of it? And you're going to hear that a lot, that idea of so what. And it's not like, so what? Who cares, right? It's like, so what now? That's the whole idea behind it. So you're going to hear that a lot. Don't take it personally. It's not offensive. It's we want to know more. We like your ideas. Tell us more. So now what? So you're going to look at that idea, look at what you have so far, and you're going to talk about what is the importance of it. Why would Banksy even choose to talk about that global issue? Why is it important in the first place, and important enough to create artwork on, or in the future, important enough to write about? So why is, in my case, I'd be writing about this idea of corporations taking advantage of the less fortunate, and why does that matter? Where have you seen it in society, and where has it taken place? And that's the last section. And when you're done filling that out, then you are going to submit the entire thing to the Schoology artwork analysis assignment under today's date. So, all right, let us know if you have questions. You're going to be great. We're excited to see what you guys all come up with. Take care.